recording. Okay, it is 7:02 on 3/23, March 23rd, 2023. It's a mouthful. And let's start by figuring out who's here. Got Angus Gorman. We'll just go around.
Yep, Amelia Cushing.
Paul vote. Hi. You want to go around? Just saying who's here.
Just say who's here.
Rich Angel.
Rich Angel. Yep.
Maureen O'Reilly.
I'm Eric Oscar.
Okay.
Alice Roy.
Paul Libby.
Right on. Okay. And as far as I'm aware, the very first thing we are expecting to do this evening is to choose officers for this year. We are short 2 normal members. We are short Sabrina Kerwin, and we're short our new select board ex officio, Russell Poitras. I think we have Paul Levier sitting as an alternate pro tempore. My proposal is that we continue with what we've been doing as far as having a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. We just need to nominate people for that and see how we do. When we have a short board, it is my understanding that procedural changes require a majority of the board voting positively, and I don't know if alternates count, so basically the 3 of us need to be unanimous with any of these appointments if we are to correctly elect one another to the 3 positions. Seems a little bit silly, but anyways, I would entertain a motion or a nomination for chair.
I nominate Angus Gorman for chair.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, is there, all in favor? I guess I can vote for myself to make the, I think it's unanimous. And Paul, I don't actually know if you're supposed to vote on this. I think you are.
As an alternate, because he's.
You can, yeah, you can still vote on it. I just think that we
Oh,
need to
okay.
make sure to have a,
Okay.
like,
We have to.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll vote yes.
Okay, so we've got a unanimous. And that leaves us with 2 other positions, vice chair and secretary. I would really like to project the general climate that these are not strict things that need to be held in some sort of heavy-duty hierarchy, that we can the idea is that if the chair can't make it, the vice chair runs the meeting. If the vice chair can't make it, the secretary runs the meeting. If there's some reason why the secretary ought to run the meeting instead, great. We're all reasonable people, and I think that we can work this out. So that being said, and the secretary's duties, in theory, include mailings and other management of materials, but I would tend to believe that we can distribute those tasks as needed to make sure no one gets overloaded. With that in mind, I would like to nominate Amelia Cushing as vice chair, and I'd like to nominate Alice Roy as secretary. I guess we'll start with one nomination for Amelia. Do I hear a second? Yeah, let's keep it within.
Yeah,
I guess.
sorry.
And all in favor? Aye. Okay, so we have unanimous for chair, vice chair, and then I'd like to nominate Alice Roy for secretary.
I second.
And all in favor? Aye. Okay, that was very simple. I don't know if there's a whole lot else to do about that. Let's take a minute to look at the minutes from February 23rd, which we need to correct to say 2023. That's the same one, huh?
Oh, same.
Yeah, sorry, okay. Yeah, so have that, and then take this, and then there's an agenda for tonight. An agenda for tonight. Agenda. Anyone else need a minutes or an agenda from previous meeting? All right, let's take a look at these minutes from February and see what we can make of it. All I can say about this is that, in theory, I am Paul and I were here. Nobody else was here.
That needs to be approved on just 2 votes.
I don't know. I think we should, Maureen, you're a resource. Do you have any idea whether 2 people can approve minutes? If, my tendency would be for us to take a vote on it, and considering that the only thing that was voted on in this at all was the previous minutes, my tendency would be to just go ahead and approve it.
How
With
many people are missing that were at that meeting?
Leaf, Gary, and Sabrina.
Oh, is that why you're asking?
Actually, wait, Rich, you were here. Oh gosh.
Well,
Who sat at the table?
Well, technically both Rich and Paul did, although one of them wasn't supposed to because they were replacing. No, that was the previous meeting. Never mind. No, this is fine.
Whoever was sitting at the table last time gets to approve the minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they know what happened.
Rich, I wondered if you can help us. Just take a look at these minutes and tell us if there's anything that you think is inaccurate. Because I feel like we might as well use as many resources as we can to make sure that we're not doing anything crazy.
Do you remember if that one was recorded?
By Jake. No, by Gary.
Then I'm sure it's posted.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it could be reviewed. Now, like I say, the only thing that was voted on was the approval of the previous minutes, so at that point, it's kind of like, all right. What do you think?
Well, once again, where it says members present, you got the alternates not there. The alternates are well,
Yeah.
we went through this before. It should include Paul Levay, alternate ex officio,
Yeah,
and Rich Angel, same thing.
right. So your suggestion is to move those 2 names up into the members present?
Right.
they weren't in voting capacity though. Thought we.
That's how it was done before.
Well, you were sitting, Paul wasn't.
We both were.
You were at the one before that. The only person missing last time was Sabrina, and according to these minutes, due to the absence of Amelia, I appointed Rich. I think it's the January meeting that I wasn't even at, that Amelia ran, where both you and Paul were.
No.
Yeah, I was at that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was there.
I think this is a little bit, I don't think we need to dwell too hard on it. I could see that if there was a problem with some of the business or the decision that was made, it would be like a high stakes kind of thing to not do this, but I feel as though it's reasonable to just vote to approve these with the change on the year.
It is confusing though, 'cause-
What if, Rich, what if we moved your name to the members present,
okay,
alternate pro tempore replacing Amelia Cushing? And then
okay, that would make more sense.
okay, let's do
Unless
that.
you're both on it, cause.
No, you weren't.
Okay.
It was just you.
Yeah.
Right, but it says others present, and it has,
In the absence of Amelia, Rich
Right.
came to the table.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll edit these minutes to make it clearer that you were sitting at the table, and I'll change the year to 2023.
and where it says others present, my name should be scratched.
Right. It'll just get shifted over to the. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion to accept these as amended.
We weren't here though.
Okay. Yeah, Paul.
I can make a motion to accept the minutes.
Yeah, and I'll second that. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll just go with that. All right. I can include a note on why this is confusing. The things we spend our time doing. I have on our agenda that we want to have a welcome and an orientation. I think considering we don't have our full board here tonight, I would kind of request that we hold off on a more specific orientation and maybe simply use tonight's proposed subdivision as a little bit of a learning opportunity. But as far as the welcome part of this goes, we're a new board. It's great. And the thing that I would like to point out, which is generally of value in my opinion, is that just because something's been done a certain way forever does not mean that's a good reason to continue doing it that way. Doesn't mean you should change it per se, but just because it's been that way forever is not a good enough reason to keep doing something some way. And that's a theme that I feel like this board could adopt as far as having a more constructive discussion rather than an obstructionist outlook that occasionally has sort of crippled the board in the past. So I'm looking forward to just having good discussions and deciding things that make sense and trying to place a high value on what we would like Grafton to be. So that's the welcome. As far as the next, the orientation, we'll go over that stuff when everyone's here because I don't, Russell probably needs a good solid orientation. Sabrina has good valuable stuff to bring to the table, so let's just wait until next month to do that. Correspondence, we have received two things. One is a letter from the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission. And this is a letter to the planning board, well, to the town of Grafton. Dear Angus, we are all hard at work to address the current housing crisis. There's a few pages here. And I'm not entirely sure what they are going for. I think that it is super valuable to take an opportunity to learn about what they're going for. I don't think we should dedicate tonight's meeting to that. I can say with a fair amount of certainty that right now, this year, it's going to be unlikely that we will have our act together enough to raise money and participate in this even if we decided we wanted to. I don't wanna write it off as something we shouldn't do. We have been courted by the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission regularly, as long as I've been involved in the board. Maureen, you're here, you have probably more experience, you may have even been on the board when when the planning board was a member. There's a wide spectrum of opinions and they all hold value. Do you have anything that you'd like to share about involvement with the planning commission and what you think, whether we should or shouldn't, or anything like that?
Yeah, we always belonged until a certain selectman had an issue with it, and then they decided no longer to pay, and it was $1,000 back then.
Yeah, I think it's like $2,000 now or
It's
something.
2 right now, yeah. I found it to be quite valuable when I was on. The problem is that we're at the far end of the planning commission, so we don't benefit as much as Enfields and Canaan, etc. do, but it's a good thing to belong to, because when I first got on the board, it was the Upper Valley that I always called and spoke with a lawyer if I had any problems or any questions, or I needed information. It was invaluable to me. The other thing is, if you plan to pursue working on your master plan, they will help you.
Well, that's kind of been the philosophical question I've had with updating the subdivision regs and the master plan, is like, it always seemed like the kind of pre-designed of each of those is like very elaborate and complicated, and I always liked the idea of having one that was a little bit more concise, and I would found it a little bit doubtful that the planning commission would opt for anything but kind of a, I don't know if cookie cutter is too harsh a word, but kind of like a one-size-fits-all regs
I
in
believe
place.
they work with towns individually.
Well, obviously they do with the master plan,
Yeah.
as far as like sending out surveys and things, like those are all tailored to.
That's on you,
Okay,
yeah.
alright. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about this, or?
So you're saying that you think this is something that would be beneficial for us to belong to?
Maureen certainly is.
I didn't hear what she
I
said.
said you're saying this is something that would be beneficial for us.
I think so. If you plan to move forward, if you're gonna stay stuck in the rut that you've been in for a while. Also, if you're interested in those books.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they are now, but they're $90 if you get them from the local government center. Upper Valley, I think you can get them for $13.
I think that's what was paid for this, and I don't remember what was done to do that. I think it may have just been like Leaf was at some sort of conference or some meeting or something, and the offer was made, and he was like, I just chose to buy one because it seemed like the right thing to do. So.
Great idea, wasn't it?
Oh, totally. No. I could see how $90 would be like, but like $13.
$90 for 4 people, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
mean,
coming out of the budget, but.
I think this is great, and I mean, my understanding is this is all easily available on the state website as well.
It is, but it's kind of nice for one person at least to have a hard copy, but there's no internet here.
Yeah, no, the books are great. There's no, yeah, we just came from literacy night at Canaan Elementary, so. Yeah, and the poor baby boomer who was running the thing was suggesting all these books with like Simon and Garfunkel and Robbie Robertson themes and stuff, and it was like, these kids aren't even gonna know what, it was cool, it was great.
So may I suggest Metallica then?
Totally, yeah. Alice, maybe you wanna take a look at this at some point, I could pass that along and you can just see what you think. The other thing that we've received, of course, is this, really keep this nice paid sticker on here. Yeah, right. New Hampshire Planning and Land Use Regulation, 2022 to 23 edition.
Did you just get that?
Yeah, this
Oh,
was
cool.
in the mailbox for like a month or something. So, I think it's safe to say that there's an awful lot of this tome that is almost entirely irrelevant to a town of this size and governmental complexity, but there's an awful lot of it that's super critical to conforming to state law when we perform these things, so that deeds that are recorded are actually done in a sleek, tight way. I can get us to a few critical pages when it comes time to do a little more orientation next month. Okay. Well, I think that with the light board right now, maybe we should just have Eric show what you have and see what we can make of it.
Sure.
This is, to the best of my understanding, a preliminary review of a minor subdivision, one lot becoming two on Tunnel and Razor Hill Roads. So, yeah, let's see what you got.
So my name is Eric Pospisil, I'm a licensed land surveyor, and I'm representing Ernie and Christy, Tom Foote,
Okay.
Tom Kevitz, I'm sorry, Tom Kevitz. Yep, and they have property on Tunnel Road, and that's where the house is currently located, but their property abuts two roads in Grafton. One's Razor Hill Road. I got Tommy. One's Razor Hill Road, and the audience can have a look. Yeah, and it's a minor subdivision. The property's 20 acres. There's a house and some outbuildings that are adjacent to Tunnel Road, and then the rest of it is all woodland. At one time, an old homestead. There's evidence of that on the top of the hill, Razor Hill. And they would like to make a 2-lot subdivision and create one 5-acre lot. The boundary line is actually going to be the center line of the power line easement, so it made a really good, good consistent barrier, or not barrier, boundary. And the other reason is it provides access here to Tunnel Road, because Ernie and Chrissy are going to retain this almost 15-acre remainder piece. What they're really selling is a house and outbuildings. They're going to be able to keep this 15 acres, and this will provide road frontage, and there's actually a log landing right here, a log landing, and this is uphill, so it's in their interest to be able to have access so that if they ever want to cut or maintain their property in forest, that they can skid downhill, reuse the log landing, and then it's just a short run out to Route 4. So they also own property across the street, so that's also undeveloped. I saw what looked to be a really nice house. It looks like there's a camper up there, and yeah. So that's the gist of it. Again, minor subdivision. You got tons of road frontage. They're going to retain it. The house has a brand new septic system that was just installed in November last year.
Yeah, just before the roof.
Yeah. So
Right on. Right, so like,
state approved septic system for the 5 acres. So
right, that really just kind of takes care of the big concern. You, this
Yeah.
much land, yeah, you do it, and
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, we have yet to truly refine exactly what our current procedural major versus minor subdivision procedures are, but basically the idea is that if you have a subdivision with more than 3 lots and there is less than 200 feet of road frontage, we need to take the major route. Part of it has to do with making sure that what frontage there is appropriate for making lots wide enough to have wells and septics that don't infringe on the neighbors, and because there's so much frontage on Razor Hill, even if it technically excludes this from any sort of major subdivision requirement, but even if this wasn't here, it doesn't worry me so much because of the shape. It's like, sure, it's not 200 feet, but it's getting wider fast. And as opposed to the opposite, which sometimes happens where it starts at 200 and tapers and tapers and tapers, and at a certain point, you can't have a well and the neighbor have a well at the same spot because they're not far enough from one another. So it's like, this looks pretty good. Gosh, there's a lot of borders. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
corners.
Yeah, there is.
That's something.
There is. Yeah, a lot of old walls out there too. Most of it's all stone wall.
I mean,
Yeah, a lot of, it's all the way down to here. It's
just like,
bordered by stone wall, it's old farmland, and all kinds of interior stone walls.
yeah,
A couple cellar holes up there. This area up in here, this is the nearest neighbor, the Stewart,
Yep.
Jessica and Luke Stewart. You know, there's a really great house site right here too. And you know, you'd have a nice view of the local hill across the valley. It's pretty, and the abutters here are all, this is a pretty large trust.
totally.
So they own a significant chunk of land, so it's a really great house site. Yeah,
Right on.
and the remaining land is large enough to stay in current use, so that's always a win. You
That's-
could even develop a house site and keep the rest of the land in current use.
Right, you could even, you have a couple 3
It
acres.
does
Yeah.
potentially have the opportunity for further subdivision, but as these guys suggested, they weren't interested in that, they were gonna retain it for themselves. So,
All right.
yeah, so what we have is, this is the plan. It's really, I've been through your checklist.
Yep.
I do this all the time, so I was sure to make sure everything was on there, from soils to topography to abutters to pins and monuments. You know, that lot areas are all there, and so I've done all that. We filled out your application. Christie signed the application, this is a copy of it. I guess I'll leave here, it's the complete package. I also included the letter that you asked us to
Yep.
do, just for you guys to review, and
Totally.
I basically copy pasted your
Well, that's great.
information
Yeah.
exactly as it was. So what we'd like to do is leave this application here, mail these abutters.
Yep.
And mail these abutters a certified letter. I have the abutter list here, I'll just copy those over onto labels.
Yeah, why don't we take a look at that now? That's an excellent time to look at the
Okay.
abutters list. Unless you just want to finish up what you're saying.
No, that's it. No, I just wanted to just make sure that I went over everything thoroughly. You know, there's a copy of their deed.
Yep.
I've got a letter of authorization here. So what's interesting is next. My letter of authorization. I know it's in there. So next, my company is Smith and Pospisil, so I have a partner, and my partner is Thomas Smith. He too is a licensed land surveyor, just the two of us. And I'm on family vacation next month,
Yep.
so Tom will be here in my place.
Okay.
Yeah, but we both worked on the project. He's familiar with it.
Honestly,
I've worked
yeah.
most closely with the landowners, but again, he's a licensed land surveyor, and we are a team, so he'll probably come down for that meeting. And,
That's great. Yeah, right, so we just have 27th of April for final review. If anything happens, you actually really you don't need to be here as long as we have the Mylar.
Well, I guess what we like to be
Yeah.
here for, not for their professional representation, but also to answer questions for butters.
Good
Because
call.
I know-
You never know who's
You
gonna.
never know who's gonna come.
Yep.
And who might have specific questions that we have the familiarity with the property. And in case the landowners aren't available,
Totally.
we're here to answer any technical questions. And they do occasionally arise. But, I don't know. I mean, it's just better safety, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, we're gonna take a quick look at the abutters list. And, you're pretty familiar with your neighbors.
I've been here 20 years, I don't know one of them.
All right,
So, I go to work, I come home, I go to bed, that's
right
it.
on. That's great. Yeah, okay.
I will say that what we did is, the selectman secretary, I called the assessors, Sarah?
Sarah, yeah.
Yeah, and, she provided me with a current list.
Right, and that's helpful to know because a lot of people would just kind of like
Oh, yeah.
look at some old tax map and assume.
Right.
No, if you got it from Sarah, that's an
Yeah, no,
excellent.
she emailed me a current copy of all the abutters, so,
Yep.
'cause actually I couldn't get the mailing addresses, I had to get the mailing addresses directly from her.
Yep.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
Well, that's excellent. Silly detail. To the best of my knowledge, Jakowski is pronounced that way, but with no W.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a misspelling?
Well, that's correct. That's no W.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you very much.
Yeah. It looks like it sounds like it would have one for sure.
Okay. Huh. That was a fat finger keystroke, so that's a good call.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Are you all set with that one? Well, I was gonna actually offer it to her.
do you want one, Maureen?
There are,
How many do we? You have three with you?
I have three with me.
Yeah, let's keep one for the board. What do you need it for? You just want to get back into the game?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, this is. I brought this extra one for you.
I don't see anything here that is immediately, obviously a poor idea. I love the power line easement border.
Yeah, it's always there. It's right down the center line. It's a deeded easement. It's, it's 30 feet wide and, it makes a great boundary. And yeah, everybody always knows where it is.
Right. All right, so I don't believe it's too early to send out a butters notices.
Yeah,
and
and
then
then the rule is 20 days. Well, you know what it is? It depends on where they go. It's actually less.
I thought it was 10, but like
Yeah, it's less. What I find is when the towns send them out for you, by law in your rule book, it's actually 15 days.
Okay.
Yeah, in that planning handbook, it's
Right on.
15 days. But towns usually need a few days because they have, the secretary has to get them, they have to get the letters, the labels together.
Yep.
And usually, actually, most towns, like my town, we just have a weekly newspaper that gets advertised. And so usually the deadline is kind of weird, so that they need extra time to make sure that it's noticed in the paper long enough.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
most
yeah.
towns ask for 20 days, but
Right.
you're right. It's,
I don't see any reason to just not to just go for it.
Sooner the better.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I don't
agree.
see there's any. It's not like it's months ahead of time where it would be confusing to people.
And my plan I was gonna mention to the board is as soon as I mail them, we will, I'll scan the receipts.
Yep.
All the documentation that
Okay.
proves that I sent them certified.
That's great.
And then it'll be a copy, you guys need that copy.
Yep.
And we'll keep a copy of it. And
Okay.
I'll let you know what happens, but yeah,
Sure.
sooner the better.
Okay, as far as cost goes, I mean, I think I replied to you that basically, we don't know what the Valley News is going to charge for a classified. It's been somewhere between $10 and $50 in my experience, more often than not towards the like teens to $20 range, but we are, at least as we stand right now, we're not in the business of making or spending any money at this board if we can help it, so it'll be a $26 recording fee as long as there's just one Mylar. It'll be $25 for L chip.
Yep.
and you're dealing with the certified mailings. We decided to charge a blanket $10 for the tube and the mailing from the board to Haverhill, to the registry, and then whatever the Valley News article is. So we can't tell you the exact number, but
Right.
I'll cover whatever.
Yeah.
there's no, it's not a big deal. I think what'll happen is I'll send out, I'll put in the Valley News fairly soon, if we all agree that this is what we'd like to do, and Sarah will get a receipt for that long before this meeting, and I'll give you a final bill.
Yep.
And hopefully
If you,
it won't be too
yeah,
much.
just if you wanna just email me whatever
Mhm.
they owe, and then we'll
Yep.
make sure to, well, you guys can just drop it at the town hall at your convenience.
As far as I know.
Yeah, we're generally
Well-
not in the business of worrying too bad about this. It'll all work out nicely.
Usually, as long as it's in hand by the meeting, the final hearing,
Mhm.
you guys have all the checks in hand for the final hearing, that's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions about this? Seems like a pretty decent thing. I would entertain a motion to accept the preliminary review as acceptable and to go forward with a public hearing on Thursday, the 27th of April, conditional to us finishing anything in the application that we need to.
I'm pretty sure that when I think, per your checklist, I think it's here, right? I think the checklist is part of this. There's a couple lines, and there's all this stuff.
Right. Yeah, I guess we could go over some of those things.
Some of it doesn't pertain, some of it pertains to the major, and some of it to, the rules are a little bit less for minor, because you don't have, you're not doing the, we're not doing reviews. The lots are over 5 acres, you don't need a test pit, it's minor, it's,
Exactly. Oh yeah, we'll get back to it. We will get back to it.
having different applications, is that what
That's
you're
what
saying?
we're hoping for.
Yeah, we kind of got stalled out because we're trying to review our subdivision regs, and we
Yeah.
wanted to approve a package of new regs with intuitive applications
Mhm.
that kind of are matched together, and have a separate application for lot line adjustment.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that, because those are good, because
Yeah.
so often towns just throw them in with the subdivisions.
I mean, it technically is, but it's
It
got
technically
little tidbits of difference. And,
Yeah.
not only is it like you're going to have two lines for two landowners rather than just one, but you don't need a public hearing and
Yeah.
all these other things that just make
Right.
it less confusing if we could
Right.
lay it out there.
You'd be surprised how many towns don't realize you don't need a public hearing for a lot line adjustment. They think you do.
Right, and you still have to do basically everything else, but
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah, you don't have to notice the butters.
I think you do. I actually talked to the local government center about.
Oh,
that.
they did say they did?
Yeah, he actually referred to our members who were not interested in that as having patently whimsical ideas.
Huh.
He took an attitude.
Huh.
But no,
Wow.
I have it somewhere in here, and
Yeah.
I think it's pretty well demonstrated that you do. It's just that the public is not obligated. You're not obligated to let the public speak to it.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
and you don't have to put it in the newspaper.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I have a question
What's up?
about this.
Yeah.
Because it says at our regular scheduled meeting at the Grafton Town Office.
That's an excellent point. I cut and pasted this off a previous one. Thank you very much.
Add it to the letter.
Yeah, Amelia's
Have everybody meet
This is
here.
why we do this. So it's the Grafton Town Hall.
Yeah. And
Which
I,
is
to be honest
exactly
with you,
what
that's
you
what I
just-
did.
Yeah.
I just said, Grafton Town Hall.
Yep.
Or no, actually, I just town office.
We used to meet there, and in recent years, this space has become more standard for holding meetings because it just is a little more open.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I hear you. You're definitely.
So Well, the town office is just like a couple of little rooms.
Yeah.
We'd do fine with this size group, but anymore it would be a little bit of a struggle.
When once you review, I'll take that with me as a reminder.
Yeah.
And I'll scribble down a note to change that Butter's name. That
Just do it
typo.
with no W.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the trust, right.
alright, so, okay, so let's do this, planning board business stuff after, but, what we need to do right now, I'll go back to a motion, that I would entertain that to accept this application as received and complete, and, the preliminary presentation as, good enough to hold a public hearing next month.
Do you need both signatures on it? I'm just wondering,
For,
on the application. Did I hear that only one person signed the application?
Just Christie, yeah.
Is that, I'm just wondering, is there a reason for that? Should we have both?
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opposed
to it.
Yeah.
When we did the other.
load
Well,
it up.
not vehemently, but.
Alright.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so this is Christie sign right there, so up there, anywhere, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Anyways, anyone wanna make a motion to accept this application and preliminary?
Yes, motion to accept the application as it is preliminary, until we hold our public meeting,
Public hearing, yeah.
public hearing.
Yep.
On April 27th.
Do we have a second? Alright, all in favor? Aye, okay. So we technically have a 90-day review period where if we don't take action, we are forced to approve it as presented with no more say. Maybe that's an oversimplified version, but that's what that basically means. In other words, the board is not allowed to perpetually stall. And so, I guess that's 3 months from now, basically. What is that, April, May, June? So we do June, and there's a couple extra 31 days in there probably, so June 21st. And then the date, the abutter notification is to be mailed by, I like the idea of going by your 20-day.
Yeah, I'll just mail it.
Yeah, and then that
Yeah,
kind of
we-
gives us plenty of clear time for that, so that would be, April 7th. And the date of the public hearing is April 27th. And the date public hearing notice is to be mailed and published by also April 7th. And the date of site evaluation is, to the best of my knowledge, not applicable because it is minor and there's nothing fancy going on. And the fees, I'm gonna hold off on that, and when we get the receipt from the Valley News, we can tally that all up.
Can I just have a little clarification about
For sure.
this one though?
Yep.
So the data, so if at the public hearing, if one of the abutters show up, or there's no comment at the public hearing, because that's when the public has their opportunity to weigh in. And you guys accept the application as complete and the plan approved.
Yep.
Then it can be recorded and filed right away, right?
Right, yeah, yes, so this is if
That's
we
if
don't
you-
do anything.
Gotcha.
If we say, yeah, we're not gonna hold the public hearing yet.
Okay.
Or if we do hold the public hearing and say like I don't like it, we're gonna have to wait to find something else, like.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
It's to make sure that we don't,
Screw around.
Do anything.
Dilly dally.
yeah, what's it?
All right, yeah,
Like
I'll accept the lead.
Basketball has a rule
Yeah.
like this, right?
Procrastinate.
Procrastinate, yeah, sure. No, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
though is that if there's no objection to the abutters and you guys are all in favor of the plan, then it can be recorded.
Correct,
And-
this
and they can
date will
move
become
forward.
absolutely null
Okay,
if the
good,
public
yeah,
hearing
that's-
is approved.
that's-
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah, that's it, yeah,
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you
um,
for clarifying.
oh,
Well,
for sure.
sometimes I understand a major subdivision requires third-party review and all that good stuff.
right,
Sometimes.
yeah, I mean, I think that this is a rural enough town with little enough infrastructure that
Yeah.
it's, pretty simple most of the time. All right,
Great.
well, we will be in touch about what needs to happen and when what needs to happen has been done, and we will see your partner
Next month.
next month.
Yeah, sounds
Um,
good.
Yeah, it's next door over there.
Nope.
One more.
There you go.
Okay. Well, we don't have a select board ex officio tonight. So, anything else you'd like to do tonight as a board?
Do you guys have enough if like next month is just, I mean, do you have enough for a quorum here then, right? Or could you approve and do this plan or?
Next month?
Next month, yeah, if
Oh,
there's one
yeah,
more,
yeah.
you guys,
No, I think we're gonna be in good shape next month.
yeah. I was just curious what constitutes a quorum for your planning board? How many
So,
do you need?
three, so the board is
Okay.
the board is five,
Oh, okay.
and,
Majority.
right, if, you only need three to do things like subdivisions,
Gotcha.
and you only need two of those people to vote yes. Procedural changes, you have to have the majority of the board voting yes, so you have to have three yes votes, regardless of attendance.
Yeah.
But with this, we'd only need three of us here, and
Gotcha.
two yes votes, and I expect next month we will both have our select board ex officio and our other member, so we'll probably just have a full board, and,
Sounds good.
yeah, and hopefully we'll just have a little more of a orientation next month too, with a little more of everyone. Any public comment that anyone would like to make tonight?